Commissioners meeting February the 2nd to order. Our invocation today, I think we've got a guest, and Commissioner John Bell, if you will introduce him.
Yes, I have the privilege of introducing our guest for this morning. I was going to make a statement as to what the sheriff told me to say about his brother, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to let it. We have Chaplain Pierce here from the Sheriff Department. He's going to do the invocation this morning, and we thank you for coming.
Thank you so much. We've been in 2 rooms together for 2 days in a row, so somebody needs to get a picture of that. That doesn't happen very often. I do want to thank the commissioners on behalf of the Chaplains Association for North Carolina and our own Wayne County Sheriff's Department for allowing us to come into the meetings and pray. This is something I had a conversation with someone yesterday about how we're not seeing that happen, and it's getting less, happening less, I guess I should say, all the time. So when Commissioner Bell calls me, I jump right on the phone and let him know I'll do that. So again, thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate that. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for this opportunity for us to come together this morning to do the business of the county. I pray for each and every one of the gentlemen that are heading the council this morning, that they will listen closely and tentatively to the things that are shared. I pray, Lord, that your hand will be in each thing that's done, and it'll be done according to your will. And we'll always give you the praise, the honor, and the glory in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, John.
And our pledge will be led by Commissioner Cromartie.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I'll need a motion for the approval of our January 19th minutes.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
All right, we've got a motion on the floor. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by raising your right hand. That is a unanimous vote. Discussion and adjustment of agenda.
Mr. Chairman, we have 5 adjustments to the agenda, which is unusual, but we had a lot of things come in at the last minute. The first thing is you have on your agenda the possible approval of a study and design contract with Stewart Cooper Newell Architects. As y'all know, you authorized me to start negotiating with them at the last meeting. We have completed the design part, but I'm still waiting on some information back from them on the study part. And so I would ask that you table that one for 2 weeks. And I should have everything ready for you at your next meeting.
Okay.
The second thing is we'd like you to add a recommendation on the construction manager at risk. And I have given you that memo. We've gone over that in the working session at 8 a.m. The third thing is a discussion and authorization of bond refinancing. We have the possibility of refinancing the bonds we issued 2 years ago on the 2 middle schools, and we can save a little over $2.9 million on that, so I'm assuming that'll be a short discussion. And then the fourth thing is the Wayne Executive Jetport Consulting Engineer contract. We have a recommendation to you from Mr. Burns, as well as the Airport Advisory Committee that met last night on that. And then the last thing is we'd like to add the NCACC February video update. So those are the changes that we're proposing on the agenda.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Wood. Under special recognition, we have the retirement here, and I think Mr. Burns is going to make a presentation.
Thank you, Commissioners. I'd like to make a few remarks about this lady that we're recognizing this morning. And if she's here, I'd like for her and her husband to come down. We've been fortunate to have this lady with us for over 17 years, and just recently she retired, Linda Hood Overton. And if there is a mayor of Grantham, it would be this lady right here. Everybody knows her in Grantham. When you go to the store in there, everybody asks me how I like working for Miss Linda. But Linda has served the patients in Wayne County for 17 years as an EMS employee, and she retired recently. And we wanted to recognize her today, and we'd like for the board to come down front for a presentation for her.
It's me.
This certificate of recognition is presented to Linda Hood Overton in recognition of 17 years of dedicated service and outstanding contributions towards the quality of patient care for the citizens of Wayne County. May your efforts serve as an example for all of Wayne County emergency medical services. That's presented by the OES Department.
Oh, yeah.
I started out with Joe. Yeah, me and Joe go way back.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Come right here. Have some
Oh,
photos.
yeah, oh, I didn't have a picture.
Tommy, in 30 days, you bring in on into
You hate my main man, but Tommy.
Don't go anywhere. The second part of our presentation today is it is very rare to have a husband and wife work for the same employer, and it's even more rare when they retire at the same time. And these two retired at the same time, and I know they've looked forward to their time together, and we're very appreciative. I saw that, and we're very appreciative of what they've done, and we just thought it was unique to have a husband and wife team like that, not only work together, but retire at the same time, and we wanted to recognize them a little bit this morning for that. All right, thank you.
So in other words, in just a few months, you'll be back.
Yeah, our month is up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't worry,
My wife get out and go to school.
Okay, our next item on our agenda is the Appointments Committee. Commissioner Gurley?
We have three. First, we'd like to recommend the reappointment of Tasha Hunter to the Community Child Fatality Prevention Team, and I'd like to put this form of motion.
Okay, hear a motion that's on the floor. Is there any discussion on the motion? If not, all those in favor signify by raising your right hand. That's a unanimous appointment.
Next, we'd like to recommend the appointment of Shanita Wilder Billups to the Community Child Fatality Prevention Team, and I'd put this form of motion.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Is there any discussion on the motion? If not, all those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Unanimous.
And last, we'd like to recommend the reappointment of Eddie Pitzer and Susan Dodson to the Wayne County Animal Control Advisory Committee, and I'd like to put this form of motion.
Okay, a motion on the floor. Is there any discussion on the motion? Not, all those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Okay, that's unanimous.
And that concludes.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Brewer. At this time, we are going to have our public comment section. This is our first time of actually having individuals sign up, and they have in fact signed up. We have one person that has indicated that they would like to speak, Mr. Tom Drew, and at this time, if you'll come forth and speak to under the public comment period.
See, it says 4 minutes, and it's a question of whether Joe Daughtry would censor me as chairman from 4 to 2 minutes. And main thing is address public comment itself, which is on the agenda and will be hopefully every meeting. I have, as these things progress recently, addressed with the chairman, 4 Diamond Rules of Journalism is date, sign, define, debate your words, and did request his definition of the word forum that he did use, and where are the appropriate forums for the exigent matters coming down the pike that should be addressed sooner rather than later that may not be on the agenda. And I still seek that answer to both, his definition and where does he go for healthy open discussion of those matters of the forum. When this new board took on a few years, election before last, a change of boards, right prior to that, I was addressing the lack of any policies to secure the receipt, review, and response of those who wish to be on the agenda. And once the new board took over, I readdressed that should be one of your first priorities. And I requested several times whatever statutes or policies are documented, and they do not exist to the best of my knowledge. And in years past, seeking to be on the agenda and addressing with the county attorney consternation about not being responded to, and he more or less pointed to public comment. You got public comment. And your ability to even get on the agenda, have matters on the agenda that need to be on the agenda. And the chairman said that the statute securing public comment gave them the opportunity to make reasonable rules. And among the rules he made is no signs. And I welcome any commissioner to put in writing the reasoning behind that. And also what constitutes a sign. Now I did ask Joe Gurley during break there, he was with EMS, should we have another Fran or, heaven forbid, a Hazel? All communications are down. Where is the public address bulletin board where the citizens can communicate under such extraordinary conditions? And also, I said, last time I said there's probably 100 questions, and my list getting longer and longer, this complex, perplexed, and befuddling conditions. You know, what constitutes a sign? Is that a sign? That's the word among the wise in time with peace. The joy of understanding. To advance on a public address bulletin board, the viable reasons to have hope for that. Also, there's, even the last meeting, seemed like your last minute before the meeting begins, making adjustments to the agenda, putting things on the agenda that weren't on this piece of paper. Also, if you need to know what's happening coming down the pike to review the Board of Commissioner meetings online, they're offline for a month or so. And I've sought reasonings why, and I haven't received that. So someone go on the extraordinary effort to review what did happen at the previous meeting so they'd be prepared today, would not be. Over and up.
Thank you, Mr. Drew. Okay, is there anyone else that would like to speak at our public? Well, that's right, no one else signed up. So as such, we'll close our public comment period. We now are going to go into a public hearing. Oh, I'm sorry. We're ahead of schedule, so I'm gonna have to hold off on that. We'll move on down to unfinished business. Mr. Wood.
Okay, the one item there is the bid for lease of farmland at Park East on page 81 in your packet. You have a memo from Noel Woods on that. We rebid this, as you recall, because we had some conflict with exactly which properties were being leased out. This lease is for 2 years because this is an additional piece of property at the industrial park that we'll be doing a farm lease on. So it will be added to the other leases that we did a year ago. And those were for 3 years, so we want them all to come due at the same time. The bid results were Russell Waters bid $181.50 an acre, Carlton Alphen $177.50 an acre, Luther Potter $125 an acre. So obviously, we would recommend that you award the farm lease on this property to Russell Waters at $181.50 an acre. And I would point out, this is the highest amount per acre that the county has received to date on any of these leases.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner Gray.
I make a motion to award the farmland lease to Russell Waters for a 1-year and 11-month term.
All right, we've got a motion on the floor. Is there any discussion on the motion? If there's no discussion on the motion, call the vote, and all those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Okay, that was unanimous approval. All right, we'll move on now to the consent agenda. We have 5 items on the consent agenda. Application for present use value, which we discussed at our 8 o'clock briefing. Amnesty days have been established for the Wayne County landfill, which is on which dates? That was page 88.
May 7th and October 1st.
May the 7th and October the 1st.
October 1st.
The appointment of the chairman of the Wayne County Tourism Development Authority, and
That
Mr.
has
Pate.
already taken place, and we have a recommendation in the consent agenda. Richard Reed.
And then allocating funds to the town of Fremont for Norwayne lift station repair.
Right, and we went over that at the 8 o'clock meeting. This is basically to take an unallocated amount, the final unallocated amount of $50,000 of the Eastern Region money, and allocate that to the town of Fremont. In addition, we would transfer $20,000 from the allocation for Pikeville, because they haven't moved forward with their project in over 18 months, and transfer that over to Fremont. Pikeville has agreed to do that in discussions with our finance people. And I can't stress enough, this is a very serious problem for the town of Fremont. This Norwayne lift station is critical to their sewer system. It serves the Norwayne Middle School, as well as being part of their system, getting the sewage. As y'all know, Fremont sewage is pumped to the city of Goldsboro for treatment. So if any part of that system goes down, then it's all backed up. So we would recommend that you do this, and that's the request from the town of Fremont.
All right, Commissioner Mills.
I'd like to, I've been involved with the issues up in Fremont and Eureka since they're in my district, and I'd like to thank the Wayne County commissioners and others, that facilities that have helped Fremont and Eureka during this time. A tremendous number of sewer issues causing I&I, causing their sewage bills to be astronomically high. And I have to give praise and thank you to Administrator Barbara Aycock in Fremont, the mayor. They have nibbled away at this over the last couple of years, and finally making really good progress. There's still a lot to do. I have been to this lift station, by the way, and I have seen the inside of this lift station we're talking about. And the I&I that's coming in there but here's the problem. The fiberglass liner and the concrete wall is about to collapse, and that was not be good for anyone concerned here. So it's a little surprising that Fremont has tried to get a grant 4 times and it's been turned down. What other reason do you need to get a grant other than this? But the bottom line is that the Eastern Region money that the county's appropriating with a very small interest rate is really going to be a help. So I just want to thank everyone concerned to help out in those issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can I say just one
Yes.
short thing?
Yes, Commissioner.
And also, I want to thank the town of Pikeville for cooperating. I think this shows the cooperation
that Fremont and Pikeville is sharing now. And I just think that, Pikeville needs to be thanked for helping us out on this and helping Fremont, because at some point, it will reverse. I mean, at some point, Fremont's gonna have to help Pikeville. So I just want to thank both of them for working together on this.
Good point. Commissioner Payne.
Mr. Chairman, and I agree with what they both said, I make a motion that we accept all 5 items on the consent agenda.
Okay, we got a motion on the floor. Is there any discussion on the motion? Being none, all those in favor of approval of the consent agenda, raise your right hand. And that's a unanimous vote. All right, we've got, we're gonna skip on down if we can to item 2, which is the construction manager at risk.
Okay.
Mr. Wood.
Mr. Chairman, you have a memo which we handed out at the beginning of the meeting. I'll just go through that very quickly. This is a recommendation on the selection of a construction manager at risk for the Wayne Regional Agricultural and Convention Center project. As you recall, you recently decided to use the construction manager at risk delivery method for the construction of the Wayne Regional Agricultural and Convention Center. We developed the statutorily required request for qualifications and advertised it. 5 general contracting firms responded, and our working group narrowed that down to 3 finalists for interviews. Those interviews were held on January the 27th. All 3 presentations were excellent, making this a very difficult decision. The 3 finalists were T.A. Loving of Goldsboro, Daniels and Daniels of Goldsboro, and Dennis of Raleigh. The working group consisted of the Board of Commissioner members of our Facilities Committee, which is Joe Daughtery, Joe Gurley, and Wayne Aycock. In addition, we had Assistant Manager Tommy Burns, Facilities Director Kendall Lee, Purchasing Manager Noel Woods, and myself. It's the unanimous recommendation of the working group that the Board of Commissioners select T.A. Loving as the construction manager at risk for this project and authorize the county manager and county attorney to negotiate a contract for your approval. I believe we can have this contract for you at your February 16th meeting. So that's the recommendation of the working group who reviewed this. I don't know if any of the 3 commissioners who served on this want to make any comments on it.
I just, like you said, this is a tough decision because any one of the 3 was well qualified to do this project. But we've felt like we picked the one that Mike could do had just a tad advantage. Not that the others didn't, but this company had done this process numerous times, and that was as far as the quality of work that they could. I mean, all 3 of them was qualified, but this one just had a little more experience, and I think that's what we really looked at.
Okay. Mr. Gurley, you comment?
Ready to make a motion?
You ready to make a motion? Okay. I'll
Mr.
entertain
Chairman.
your motion.
I move to accept the recommendation of the working group and authorize county manager and county attorney to negotiate a contract with T.A. Loving Company.
Okay, we've got a motion on the floor. Is there any discussion on that? Just a brief comment. I cannot agree more that this was a very, very close call because all 3 of our finalists were duly qualified. One of the things that we did learn in this discussion was that we're able to move this project along a little faster because of the close relationship between the architect and T.A. Loving that they already have. In fact, all 3 companies had a close relationship. But I look forward to actually having some groundbreaking a little bit earlier as a result of this. So we're moving along on this project. Okay, any further comments?
But I would like to,
Commissioner Martin.
I would just like to ask the questions, probably, it may be one file manager. When these companies are selected, do they adhere to and follow policy of making sure that there's a certain amount of this work that goes to minority contractors or making sure that the minority individuals have an opportunity to participate in work in any fashion? Are we following that close? And
Yeah, yes, we are, and in fact, that was one of the primary questions that was involved in the request for qualifications, what was their experience in going out and soliciting that kind of work. And one of the things that all three stressed is that they tend to break some of the work up into smaller packages, bid packages, in order to do exactly that, to encourage minority and women-owned businesses to participate.
And sort of a follow-up, and I'm not asking for this as a piece of statistics, but just what kind of success do you think the previous contracts that we've led in the county have had towards having minority, small contractors, minority and other small contractors to be involved in some of the work that may be within the county of Wayne?
I really can't answer that. It's been so many contracts.
And that was sort of a rhetorical question, because I would want us to make sure that we looked at that in the future and encouraged it and sort of monitored it in some way, maybe through the assistant manager, to make sure that that work was really on the ground. And because sometimes we assume that things are taking place, and sometimes it has to be an encouragement for things to take place.
Well, and that's what this is. It's an encouragement, and I want to stress to the public is it's still awarded. The work is still awarded on a low price basis. So while you can encourage these firms to participate, they're not given any additional consideration over and above anyone else. In other words, you reach out to them, ask them to submit bids, but the bid still goes to the lowest qualified bidder.
Thanks, sir.
Okay. We have a motion on the floor. Is there any further discussion? Being none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by raising your right hand. And that is unanimous approval. All right, 9:30 has arrived, and we are now going into a public hearing, which I call the public hearing to receive public comments on the preliminary assessment resolution for Canterbury Village and North Creek subdivisions. If there's anyone that would like to speak on this matter, please step forth. Well, good, as contentious as this is, we're going to have some public
Not
comment.
expecting that. My name's Steve Cole. I live at 102 Helms Court, Goldsboro, North Carolina, 27530. Get a phone number? I'd like to thank the commissioners for getting this project to this point. All the residents out there in the neighborhood are looking forward to moving ahead and seeing this first phase and first public hearing pass, and hopefully moving ahead. I just want to let you know we've stayed in communication with the property owners out there. We've let them know, all the possibilities and contingencies that might occur with the project. Although we were hopeful, some of the repairs would not have to be made. Everybody's prepared to have done what needs to be done to get the roads up to standard and accepted by the DOT. So I'd just like to say I thank all the commissioners for, their work and consideration making this project happen, and we're looking forward to getting the roads repaired. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Ray Urban. I live at 303 East April Lane in North Creek subdivision. Just want to speak in favor of this project and encourage you to vote for it to go forward. Also want to comment, I think it was back in late August, early September, when the citizens of these two subdivisions began to come and speak before you and ask for some help. And shortly after that, Steve and Joe Haas, who's not here, met with Mr. Wood and Mr. Crumpler, and we defined the geographical area that we were interested in. And then I picked up the petition from Chip on October 16th. And here we are 3.5 months later. I'm not real familiar with government work, county work, but that seems like that's breakneck speed to me.
Trust me, it is.
You're correct. So, and I want to thank Mr. Wood and Mr. Crumpler and the county attorney as well for their help in moving this project forward. They were very insightful, very helpful, very professional, and I don't think we could have got here as quickly as we did without their very professional help. I personally collected about 40% of the signatures, most of them on East April Lane and Adler. And as we collected those signatures, some of the folks have the driveway abutments or driveway walls. We mentioned to them that those may have to come down. And everyone has reconciled themselves to the fact that that's the way it is, that's the way it is. Nobody really wants to give it up, but I think they understand the value proposition is in getting the roads fixed and not having a driveway abutment next to their driveway. At a recent meeting, Steve and I talked to the DOT person that was here, and we talked to him about that, and he made it pretty clear that those walls probably will have to come down. We hope they don't, but if that's part of the punch list, we understand that. So we're in favor of it. I think most of the folks in the neighborhood are in favor of it, and encourage you to vote for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Additional comments?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm Rufus Williams, property owner at 208 Chancery Drive here in Goldsboro. I no longer reside in Goldsboro. I had to move to Raleigh. I had to relocate to be home. My father's taken ill, but moving on, I think y'all have done a wonderful job in allowing the DOT to take over management of the roads, but you all kind of helped with that proposition. Greatly appreciate it. Our roads are in bad shape. I've resided in Goldsboro almost 12 years now, and I've seen a steady decline in the condition of the roads in that time. There are a lot of potholes in the neighborhood, and my home in particular, there's a pothole right outside my driveway, so it's very displeasing. And an eyesore. Quite honestly, we have a very nice looking neighborhood, and I've seen the neighborhood go down in recent years. So you all kind of helping us to move forward with the DOT is greatly appreciated, not only by myself, but by all the residents. So I just want to say personal thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Wahid Akhtar from 100 Helms Drive. Mr. Chairman and board members, the roads are in bad shape for the last 10 years, and we have been looking to the different options, and this is, we all feel, the best option. And we consider your positive vote on it, and I support what Steve said, and Ray said, and Rufus said. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Angela Hinton from Salem Church Road.
I've heard of you.
You have. Sorry to be such a pain, but I just wanted to say thank you. I really don't have a dog in this fight, but Steve and his team have helped me tremendously with the other end of Lane Tree, and I was just coming to give support to them. I think this is great. I appreciate every one of you dumbing it down for a girl so we can help the other end. But again, thank you, and I am excited and hope this goes well, and it just makes it easier for us. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other comment?
My name is Mitch Ivy. I'm at 103 Adler Lane in North Creek, and I just want to thank you for working on this project and moving it through so fast. And thank Steve and Ray and everyone who's worked on this, and encourage you to vote for it. Thank you.
Okay. Additional comments? Being none, our public hearing is hereby closed. And I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I make a motion that we accept the resolution number 2016, which is amended, that calls, basically from what I understand, for a second public hearing. And I make a motion this time that we adopt this resolution, which is a preliminary assessment resolution for Canterbury Village and North Creek subdivisions, Wayne County, North Carolina.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Is there any discussion or comments?
I have one comment, if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman. I think this is the most thank yous we've ever had. That's all I have.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Commissioner.
I would like to give a thank you to the subdivisions that are in the process already in the distance that you've traveled and the tenacity of which you all have pursued this. What you've done is brought light to a subject that other subdivisions that's, although I know this is north of Goldsboro, there are some subdivisions south of Goldsboro that are watching what you're doing and are sort of patterning what they need to do behind what they've observed in these meetings. So it's been a plus, and I'll thank my partner to my left here. I know he's worked closely with a lot of you, but it's work that needs to be done, and so the county is watching. Other subdivisions are watching what's taking place here so that they will be able to proactively engage in the process. So there's a thank you all around, and so I want to thank you all. You all are thanking us, but thank you all for the upfront work that you've done, which has been a guide to other subdivisions.
Thank you. Okay, we're back in session. I think the next item on our agitation, county comprehensive financial audit. This time, Mr. Wood gets to introduce.
We have the folks from our auditing firm, and at this point, I'll just go down.
This is our once a year deal we get to do, to present the financial report to the county. I guess everybody has the hand report. Reports about two of that thing. So we'd be here a long time. I know y'all are short.
I agree.
So we'll pull out some things we think are interesting and important. Initially, we had a certificate of finance, Wayne County, and almost about half that award, and Wayne County did receive that, which is a pretty high bar to raise. And that's as of June 30, 2004, year behind on that. Okay, the Wayne County audit results, and this is just kind of a summary of what we do. First of all, we work for you guys. We work for y'all. To sum up what we do is we go out in the field, we gather audit evidence through the inquiry, observation, so forth, and we determine that the county employees and management are doing what you expect them to do. And that is mainly preserve. We'll make sure and we issue an opinion to that effect. And the opinion is our auditor's unmodified opinion on the financial statements, which is the highest level of assurance that we can issue through the work that we do, the evidence that we gather, that the staff and management are doing what we're doing, and that the financial records you receive are free of, and that there's no errors or corrections that need to be done in financial responsibilities. We'll respond. We issue as we object, and we give evidence we consider necessary opinion. We have other supplementation that we include. It's not required. Leaders and you guys. So that's what audit's all about. Management discussion and analysis, which is preceded by a letter of transmittal prepared by the county auditor. And those two statements, about 50, if you could, pages that are in the report. But it gives a great what happened in the county last year, of the budget process for this year. It talks about the economic conditions. And so if you've only got an hour on these statements started, that will get you a win. The financial statements as compared, where it compares to last year. It highlights where we actually opportunity for exceeded the budget. It's about the economic in the county for preparing the budget for the ensuing year. So it's just a good summary overview of what's going on. Next, we have some excerpts from the actual report, the numbers, and we've extracted some financial statements that we think are worthy of going over in brevity. And let her take it from there.
So we extracted some of the, have the biggest where things, please talk to me because we go back to a statement. So it's found on page 26, but it's actually the statement of net position. And this is what's called a government-wide statement. And it shows everything from your business activities, your general fund, revenue fund, capital project fund, service. So this is what's called government-wide. And in the business world, that would be like your balance, okay? So I kind of want to point out some highlights there. Your total current assets are about 107, which is up about a year. Cash, up current asset of it, your buildings, your vehicles, and
Sorry, I already got a comment there. I said we're up.
you're up 25. Cash current percent.
Okay. Cash has,
But your overall assets, 5% over the prior year, the majority of it being in capital assets, like your buildings and such.
because we booked the schools.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and some other planning stuff,
Sure.
you know, other effect. That is reflected debt, offset, okay, thing, goes to bid. Overall, is for the mission or in the business, okay, $5 million and total $1 million.
Do that.
Yeah, it's the,
Tax.
is, which you'll see a
Manage
little bit later.
expenses. Okay.
That's good.
I think it's more of the
That's a
managing
key
of
word.
expenses, which you'll see later.
Okay.
Revenue exceeded the expense.
Right.
So now we'll go to the next statement, which is the statement of activities found on page 20 of, and this again, wide statement and the same the page. And here, your net of the various financial statement, this, we broke it out to general and the business on the second page. This column will show, and then you have registers for serving grants, government negatives, basically say consideration, charge, you know, and you got into, it costs Wayne County to run public safety, transportation, human service. And I'm actually here in a minute that give you a very good visual representation of where the money's going. I do want to, this $65 million increase of 1.9 for the prior year. Go a couple years back, it's actually a decrease of 4%, and as you trend, it's actually down. So you're spending a lot, increasing your expenses over time is what to you. Okay.
Here a little bit. You got your, and you had income to offices.
Right.
So cost from the dollars generated from tax revenues, it was $65,459,000.
Right.
Now, going further from what you just said, over a 3-year period, that's actually down by approximately 1%.
Right. When you average a 3-year period.
So I'm averaging over 3 years, which actually is the 3 years of this board. We're talking about a 1% reduction in the cost to the local.
As an average, yes.
Now, look, I'm sorry. I'm gonna toot our horn here a bit, because that's big news.
Yeah.
Because most entities increase their expenditures by, on average, inflation of 1.5%, 2%. So over a 3-year period, that'd be a 6% increase. And what, if I'm understanding you correctly, what we've done through our management is actually reduced our spending by 1% over 3 years.
Over 3 years.
Mr. Herron, I'm
some of
hoping
this
you are picking up
fluctuates.
on what I'm saying here.
Some of
Because-
the, you know, some of your expenses they
Sure,
fluctuate over years, and that's why sometimes
That's
it's
correct.
good
But
to
if
look
you
at
take it over
several
3
years.
years,
Mhm.
over 3.
Yes.
Well, that's big news. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, I forgot I got it advanced. Oh, sure.
And this was as of June 30th, 2015.
Yes, sir.
So it's not factoring in anything that we've obligated ourselves to spend since then.
No, I wouldn't know those things.
Next year may be a little different.
Okay. So next you have the business type activities. I do also want to point out and give some props to management. If you look at the same thing, you have the expenses, you have charges for services, a few little grants that you receive, and it costs the government for these proprietary business type funds, it costs you about $1.5 million. However, that is the lowest in 3 years when I looked back. So that is the lowest cost to the county for the proprietary funds. Now, you know, on the first page, we said we had a $65 million cost to the county for those different types of activities. You know, you pay for it by the revenue that's shown on the bottom of the page with that $73 million of total general revenue is how you paid for those expenses. So, which is actually, your revenues are actually down about 0.5% from the prior year. But as a taxpayer, it tells me that you are taking care of things without charging me. And so that makes me happy as a taxpayer, not your auditor.
Appreciate that.
I just want to ask a general question.
Sure.
And I don't want my fellow commissioners to faint when I ask this. But based upon what you've just told us, what is a safe amount that we could reduce the tax rate in Wayne County over the next 2 or 3 years and it not hurt our ability to fulfill our obligations.
Well, that takes some calculations. I wouldn't feel comfortable, throwing a figure out
Well, a
without doing some
generality,
work.
I don't mean to ask you to give us an absolute dollar and cents, but, there's a premise among the public, and before I became a county commissioner, I was public, and still is. So, there's an old saying, I can keep my money at the house and spend it the way I want to versus putting it in the coffers of the public. And don't fake, fellas, but whenever we have a surplus, that means that we have moved money out of the public pockets and put it in the pockets of the big government. And I'm sorry, I just have to say that for my public, since I am public.
Right.
Generally.
Well, that would really depend on what kind of goals you set, or what kind of projects you have in mind that you want to do. I'm sure the next couple of years. There's actually a schedule one of the last things that we present that talks about the fund balances and what they're required, or what y'all have required that you maintain. And you'll see what excess there is. So you just need to convert that excess to property tax valuation or assessments, and that would be a good starting point. But there's a lot of variables, a lot of moving parts to that question.
And if I might comment on that, Commissioner, some of that may be outlined when we have our retreat next week, and we establish some of our goals, and then we'll take a look at some of those. But good point, good point.
Okay. So like I said earlier, this is just a good visual representation of where the revenues of the county come from. Of course, 53% from those property taxes, about 17.5% from the sales tax, and human services at 19%. I mean, a lot of that's federal and state funding that makes that 19% there. And you can see that's kind of where your revenues come to support the activities of the county. The next graph is governmental activities. Same thing is the expenses, so you can see where you're spending your money. And if you notice, the largest place that you spend the money is those same human services, but I mean, that is offset a lot by the state and federal grants that you receive for those services. Education's a good 25%, and public safety being 22%. And so I think graphs sometimes tell you more than a bunch of numbers. It just kind of tells you where you're spending your money.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
The public safety portion there, 22.45. Sometimes I think maybe the general public doesn't realize how much is actually spent on public safety for us. We're looking at, that's close to a fourth of our budget. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so moving on to the next one. This is actually called a balance sheet, but it's in fund accounting. And so want to point out a few things here, that this is just the general fund. It does not include any of your special revenues like the fire departments and things like that, and it does not include any of your proprietary or business type funds like solid waste and EMS, okay? So this is just strictly general government. Do want to note that total assets were about $55 million, which is down significantly from the prior year. And then you have some payables, not a whole lot, not a big deal there. And then your fund balance is $52 million for the general fund. I do want to point out that this is excerpted from the statement on page 29. And if you look at the statement on page 29 in totality, that includes your special revenue and your capital project funds. And on that case, your fund balance increased $2.7 million overall for the year. Your general fund did decrease by about $18 million, but it's what I refer to as purposeful planning. You took the assets of the general gov and started on some projects that are needed in the county, like the new jail and some movement of some things for the ag center. So you moved about 14 million of that 18 million were for the jail and for the ag center as to why there was a decrease. But I do want to remind you that overall, these funds, you did increase the fund balance by 2.7 million. Questions?
just a quick comment, just for the board, and that is, I think it reflects the management style of our current management of advising us, rather than holding on to cash in the bank where we're getting 0.25 or
Less.
maybe a less. Rather than doing that, actually using those funds and shifting them as an asset from cash over to an asset of the jail as an example.
Building.
So it's still an asset, it's just a matter that you're getting a better return by taking the cash and investing it into the facility itself. Am I correct?
Oh, better return, yes, because
Okay.
you can't make much money on that.
Okay.
And for a good thing, just a comment, I ran into a businessman Saturday, and he recognized it as a businessman. I said, glad to see y'all finally taking some of those dollars that we're sending in and spending it on the citizens of Wayne County, because we're the ones that pay for it.
Right.
And you're doing it for the right reasons, and that's what mattered, and that's what made me feel good about that.
Okay, any other comment before we move on? Okay.
Okay. So on page 35 is the statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance. And again, this is only the general fund, okay? And I'm just going to point out a few highlights there. You actually, with total revenues, exceeded your budget by $1.2 million. This is where I commented earlier, you were being so successful because you were managing your expenses. So here you will notice that your expenses were under budget by about $17 million, and that the general fund actually had an overall increase of $7.3 million for the year. What's made the fund balance, of course, go down is because you transferred that money out to support the projects with the jail center and the ag center. Okay?
I want to ask the question, just for my internal. There's a minimum amount that we're required to hold.
Next slide.
Oh. Well,
Okay.
is that included in that ending fund balance on 35, or is that outside of that?
On the 52 million,
Right.
right, the next slide will break down what we, what you as the county are required to set aside, okay? So this,
All right.
That is
this,
included in that.
It's included in the 52?
That's correct.
what, I
It's
didn't-
not 52 plus that?
No, it's included.
All right, okay.
Okay,
That was my question.
okay.
Inside or outside?
Yeah. So, you are required to have what's called the, working, fund balance, a minimum fund balance policy. And so it is actually two pieces here. So of that 52 million that we saw on the page before, you are required by the state to set aside 6.3 million. Your Wayne County policy said it will be 14% of budgeted expenditures. So you are also, down at the bottom, you will see a working fund balance policy of 9.2 million. So when you set aside the state 6.3 and the working fund balance of 9.2, that is your 14% that's required to be set aside, okay? And the other ones are other types of restrictions and committed, you've committed this balance, or the balance is restricted because of how the type of revenue it was and how it's being spent. So in the end, you still have another 17 million over and above everything you are required to set aside.
Without doing the
Over
math, that'd be about 28-30%.
Yes, I think
So
it's
that's how-
probably about 28%, I think,
Okay,
28 or 29%.
That's 17 million over what we're required.
Over what you're required, what your own policy and state stabilization requires.
And then, Mr. Cromartie, back to your question. The 6 million at the top and the 9 million at the bottom were the two figures you were talking about. And so those are subtracted from that 52 million, which is carried over to the page before.
And quick calculation, does that leave the 34?
No, that's the subtraction of all those in the column, and it leaves 17 million remaining that has no restrictions at all.
The 34 is designated.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I see where he got the 35 from, gotcha. That's all, it's either restricted, committed, assigned, or part of your fund, working fund policy. So,
But do recognize that the board may change at any time the working fund balance policy. That is that is determined by the board, so you could actually reduce that if you
Only
so
s-
desired and add it to unencumbered reserves.
You
And
can
what
only
you mean
reduce
by
it
that
so
is some of that-
far to keep the LGC happy.
Do what now?
You can only reduce it so far to keep the LGC.
Agreed, but the LGC is requiring the six
No,
million
plus
three.
they require that the counties have some type of working
Sure.
fund policy.
But you could, that's
There is some
Yes.
flexibility.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So, just to briefly touch base on some other reports issued, Paul had went over the, independent auditors report and the reports that management write, letter of transmittal and MD&A. There are other reports that we are required to issue. We have some compliance reports that we report on your internal control, which we had no findings there. We have a compliance report on your federal programs, the money you receive to operate social services and public health and some other things. We had no findings with your federal programs. We also are required to report on the state monies you receive. We did have a small finding with cross-cutting. We've had that finding before, but I'm pretty sure Debbie Jones is all over it because she gave me some follow-up on what she's doing to make that happen. We issue a communication to those charged with governments. On your fund statements, there was no significant change in accounting policy. There is on government-wide a small change for GASB 68. There were some accounting estimates made. We make estimates, or we assist, actually your management makes the estimates, but we just test them for things like current portion of debt, depreciation, expense, that's an estimate, allowance for bad debt for taxes and things like that. We had no difficulties in performing the audit. There were corrected misstatements, which the county corrected, and there's a small uncorrected misstatement that asked for. There's a communication also of no material weaknesses. That's the old, we used to call it a management letter. We did issue one other recommendation regarding health insurance, and it's detailed in your audit. Okay. And just to reiterate that you did a lot of things in the past year. Steele Memorial Library opened, construction of 2 middle schools, and major renovations for 5 other schools. You began construction on the detention center, major upgrades to the public radio system. You have the progress on the Wayne Regional Agricultural and Convention Center, and the health department begins serving elementary schools with a new mobile dental lab. And so that's where some of the planning of the board and management has taken place that we've seen in the audit. And are there any other questions?
Commissioner Bell.
If you was just gonna make a general statement for the general public, what condition would you say that Wayne County financial situation is in right now?
Well, Wayne County is definitely off the radar of the LGC. I mean, you've held your own. You actually, a lot of your, when we look at the statistical data provided by the LGC, you actually compare more with a Wake County or one of the larger counties as far as percentage of assets and things like that. So it is even though it's large and time consuming, it is a very clean audit for us.
Thank you.
Your debt is low compared to the size, and your reserves are high. You have a lot of dedicated employees out there that we work with doing the audit. You may or may not come in contact with a lot, but there are people out there doing the right thing, and they care about the county.
Well, let me ask a question, maybe, Mr. Chairman. Sort of maybe related to Mr. Bell's question, maybe it's not. But, we've read and seen some analysis that Wayne County was one of the poorest counties. And you tell us that we're in real good shape. So where does that disparity, what makes us, maybe you don't have that answer, maybe that's somebody else's answer, but what makes us would receive such a designation when we are so solvent as a county?
Well, that has to start at the top, the people who are managing the county. They manage their resources very well. And your tax base is still good. I'm not sure about these other numbers or comparisons. I think it probably has to do with incomes.
Income level.
Average income, but based on the resources that you have, it's managed very well. And you invest very well.
Well, and I'm leading to something, what can we do I mean, maybe you don't, but if you were gonna give us 3 or 4 things, what will we do to correct that perception or the reality that we may be this fifth poorest county or some number that people keep throwing up in the air? And is it real, imaginary, or that's what I'm trying to do?
Well, one of them is just my observation, is the ag center you're building, the new jail you're building, things that show. The bypass, all the road work that's going on. Positives we get from the base, Seymour Johnson. It's just,
But that deals our positive side.
But I think,
But
I think that also generate jobs. I mean, a lot of it comes from the average income of somebody that makes us the poorest county. That doesn't mean that you're, the county's poor as much as the residents as individually are. The citizens are poor, and that's, I think, where you hear the poorest county.
And so one more.
But some of your activities will promote more jobs. Ag Center should have more jobs. The jail
Well, right this
detention's gonna
minute.
add on.
Right this minute, that says that our citizens are not being paid salaries that cause them to get out of the poor category.
And you're probably about right. But that's, economic development, which I know Mr. Wood and the EDC work on and things like that. It's the economic development of the area that would probably start turning that around.
Sure. If I can, let me call on Commissioner Pate.
Very quickly, and I understand what you're saying, Commissioner Cromartie, but I would dispute that report anyway. My years looking at those kind of reports, a lot of data's left out, and I'm taking a prime example is normally monies that come from either federal employment or military are not included in those, because you have to just about twist their arms to get that information out of them. And I don't know who put that report out, but I don't know that it's accurate. And I would very much question it, because I think that the impact of federal employees here and the base elevate the income level far above what was in that report. That's just my opinion.
Good point, though. Commissioner Mayo.
Just one observation. I'm looking at the pie chart of our government activity expenses by function, and I'm really concerned, and we all should be, that we're only spending 2.3% for economic development. That's unacceptable for this reason. Why wouldn't that slice of the pie be larger? Because that is the number one concern of citizens across the nation, is jobs. So I think you've hit the nail on the head. You just mentioned it just a few minutes ago, that economic development is a key. And we stepped forward with the Advanced Manufacturing Center and Wayne Community College. We're training our people. But I made the comment yesterday at our legislative meeting that right now we're training people for other counties because we don't have the jobs for them to take if they're trained. So I'm really, when I saw this, I said, my gracious, 2.3%. And if we need to get serious about creating jobs, and for lack of a better statement, I've said this before, it's time to quit giving lip service to it and do something about it. Thank you.
Well, I want, Mr. Chairman,
Just a quick follow-up.
just real quick. 2.5% of what dollar figure are we talking about?
About $100 million.
2.5% of $100 million? So that's 2.5 million, that's two point some million dollars that we're spending in it right now. That may be not a bad dollar figure. We just gotta work harder to make that $2 million work.
Y'all keep those thoughts as we get into
Thank you.
retreat next week. I do want to follow up, and again, everybody hears things differently. And so I'm gonna make these statements, and I need your help and guidance to make sure they're accurate. From what I'm hearing from this audit, because of the direction of this board to management and their expert advice, we were able to, over a 3-year period, actually cut the cost of government here in Wayne County. Is that correct?
as an average.
As an
you cut.
average.
You cut, because you really increased over the
Sure.
prior year, but the year before was a significant
I'm talking about over a
decrease.
3-year period.
Over a 3-year period, yes.
Over a 3-year period, we have actually increased our net assets, whether or not it's in cash or in assets or facilities.
Yes.
We've increased that by millions of dollars. We have actually, as this board recalls, actually reduced the property taxes on 2 occasions. So we reduced the property taxes over that 3-year period of time. Am I correct?
Yeah, I believe so.
Now, we have increased our debt, however, our debt increase is attributed to primarily 2 new schools that were desperately needed in our community.
And renovation.
And renovations. Well, actually, we didn't borrow the money on the renovations, did we?
No.
We
Not
actually
quite.
borrowed the money on the 2 schools.
Yeah.
So our debt increase is attributed to the schools. And we heard today that we're gonna reduce our expenses of that. But in that acquisition, and I'm gonna get to a point here in a minute, in that it was an interlocal agreement that was negotiated with the school board, which limited the cost to the local taxpayers to $750,000 over the 20-year term. Am I correct on this? Now, some years it's higher because of the way it's structured,
Well, that-
but if you took it over the 20 years.
You're correct, when you
it's-
average it out.
Okay, when you average it out, it's 750.
Right,
Is that correct?
that's
I really think that somebody needs to turn around and say, hey, job well done. Job well done. Now, I realize you give this report to us, but I'm going to state it as chairman. Job well done. There were many long hours and an unbelievable commitment on the part of management and staff to make sure that these things happen. This board established its goals, and this management team put it together, but they put it together in such a way that was financially viable. It was a good plan. With that in mind, I think Mr. Wood deserves an unbelievable heartfelt thanks, and I would ask this board, give him a standing ovation.
Not a raise, man.
No raise. That's your attaboy. I appreciate that very much. Well, it's really well deserved.
Maybe lunch, but no raise.
That's right. Is there anything further for our audit report? Being none?
I was gonna say one thing for the left. I did spend some time reading this, and I want to say you guys did a lot of work on this, and we are in great shape. That's what I took from it, so thank you so much.
Thank you for your presentation.
Mr. Chairman, you need to accept, somebody needs to make a motion to accept.
Oh, we do? Well, will somebody make that motion?
I just made it.
Okay. Commissioner Bill has made a motion that we accept the audit report for fiscal year ending June 30th of 2015. Is there any discussion on the motion? Being none, all those in favor signify by raising your right hand. We unanimously accept it. Glad.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Fantastic report. All right, we're moving along here. We've got a few items that we've got remaining, and we do have a closed session. Item 3 is the refinance on the middle schools. We've heard our report on that, and we are looking for a motion to authorize the county manager to proceed on that.
I so moved.
Commissioner Aycock has moved that we authorize the county manager to proceed in negotiating a refinance on our middle schools. If there any discussion on that? No discussion. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. That's a unanimous vote. You are so authorized to proceed on. We'll do it. Item 4 is a authorization of the approval and recommendation to approve W.K. Dickerson. Mr. Gurley, do you want to have some comments on that?
Mr. Chairman, I move to authorize county management to negotiate consultant engineering contract with W.K. Dixon.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Is there any discussion on the motion? Being none, all those in favor signify by raising your right hand. That That passes unanimously. The last item is the video from the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners.
Hello and welcome to the County Update video for February 2016. We're back with our first update for this year. This video is produced by the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners each month to keep county officials informed about association activities. We'll start this month with an update on steering committees. All of our steering committees met in January with the exception of public safety, which was a casualty of the recent winter storm. Each committee had a number of important topics to discuss and received a great deal of information from presenters. We encourage you to visit ncacc.org/steering committees for more information. There you can view our meeting minute video from each meeting, giving you a brief overview of the meetings. You can see presentation materials from the meetings and view the agendas and minutes from the meetings. It is a great resource to keep track of the progress of the NCACC steering committees. If you'd like to participate in a steering committee, please contact us using the information on your screen. Our education and conferences staff has been busy in January, and one event that was held was Leading Your County Governing Board, which is an educational seminar for board chairs. It was well attended by chairs and vice chairs, as well as county staff. If you'd like to know more about upcoming educational opportunities, please visit ncacc.org/education. Now let's talk research. The NCACC research staff has completed a new budget and tax survey and discovered that for the first time since the Great Recession, total county budgeted expenditures for 2015-16 exceeded the amount in 2008-09. These expenditures have increased every year since a low of just under $10 billion in 2011 and 12. If you'd like to review the results of the survey, please visit ncacc.org/budget and tax survey. Our risk management staff is hard at work as always, with regional meetings coming up in February and March. If you'd like to participate, please be sure to sign up at the NCACC website. For more information on risk management, please visit ncacc.org/risk management. Finally, let's check on our government relations staff. We're moving into a busy time of year as preparation for the updated on your association's activities. If you'd like more information on anything we discussed here, please visit ncacc.org.
Okay, we've got two other items, and that is the county manager's comments, the commissioner comments. But if you don't mind, we want to go into closed session at this time. So I do need a motion to go into closed session.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
All right, we have a motion to go into closed session for the purpose of
To consider the qualifications of an employee, a prospective employee, and consult with an attorney to retain the attorney-client privilege.
Okay, motion on the floor to go into closed session. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Unanimous, and so we're in closed session. I do want to make sure everyone's aware that we do have an appointment down at noon in Mount Olive, so let's keep our comments brief if we can. We're back in session, out of closed session. And at this time, we'll hear from our comments from our county manager.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, in the interest of time, I'm going to keep everything short, but what I've handed out to y'all is a draft of the agenda that we plan on using at the retreat. One thing, there's a couple of differences from last year I just wanted to emphasize. This afternoon, I'll be sending you out by email an update on what we've accomplished this year. In other words, I've got the goals that you set last year, and I will be striking through those that we've either finished or will be finished very shortly, so we really don't need to discuss those any further. We don't want to spend a great deal of time at the retreat on that, so I would just ask that you go ahead and review that when I send it out today, sometime over the weekend. We want to save more time for actually going over the goal setting for next year. The second document I'll send you is, I'll take that document, then I'll delete everything that's been struck through. And so what that will leave is those things that are still up for your consideration for next year, and that's the starting point. The third thing we would like you to do is give serious thought to, between now and the 9th, of what you want to see as goals. If they're not on that list and you want to talk about them, go ahead and make some notes on that so that when we get in there, because one of the first things we're going to talk about is what additions, what new things would you like to see added to those goals. The one other change we're going to make is, when I first got here 2 years ago, the first retreat, we were just trying to capture all of the thoughts that everybody had about what you wanted us to consider. We left them all on there, and with the understanding there's no way we'd get it all done. But the first year, we whittled away at that list. Last year, we pretty much did the same thing. Where I think we're at a point now where it's become pretty clear to me that I need a little more direction from y'all as to specifically what you want us to be doing. We've had far too many goals on there. So what we're going to ask this year is we're going to give everybody 10 votes. And after we list all of them, Marcia, remember, has it on her computer as we work at the retreat. What we'll do then is everybody will have an opportunity to vote, and we can do it one of two ways. Each of your 10 votes has the same weight, or we can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But then you put your, we can either say who has, and if we do that, then we need to put 10 as being your highest priority, because it'd be who has the most points. But what I'd like to get out of that, and we can discuss how many you want to do. I think I put on there a suggestion that we look at, everybody votes for 10, but we'll end up with the top 30. I think beyond that, it's very difficult for us to probably handle more than that. But if we do finish on them, and there's time, we can come back and say, these were some of the others, what would you like me to add to the list? But we'd like to zero in and be a little more focused this year about which specifically top 30 or 25 or 35, whatever you decide. I wouldn't go much beyond 30 though, because that's what we're seeing that we can typically get done. Because some of these, they're one brief sentence, but the amount of time it takes to do it is pretty lengthy. The other thing is, and I know y'all appreciate this, is the agenda that you're driving. A lot of stuff we get hit with, you didn't bring up and I didn't bring up. It's stuff that happens during the year and we've got to address it, So in addition to those 30, there's those other things that come up. But that's basically what we'd like to do, unless anybody has any problems with that agenda.
I would hope that when we come out of that meeting, that everybody has a clear understanding of what the top priorities are.
Yes.
With that in mind, to make things a little bit easier, I've seen it to where you actually have them listed out, and then you're given 10 dots, and then you go and put the dots there. That way you can add the dots up real easy.
That's right.
So it may be something we can consider.
That's right.
We just want to make sure when we come out that everybody knows what the top agendas are.
That's right. That's right. So that's where we're at on that, on the agenda. Second thing is, I think I emailed to y'all, but just wanted to reiterate, Steve Cross has submitted his resignation. He's going into private business with a friend out in western North Carolina in Burke County. He is going to continue to work with us through the end of February. And just so you know, I had a meeting with these key staff people Monday. It was a very good meeting. I laid out the process we're going to follow as far as going through a selection process. We're in the process of doing that now. There is a group in North Carolina that is made up of these chief information officers for local governments, and we will be advertising it with them. We'll also be making the School of Government aware of it. And I'm trying to put together an assessment panel, and right now I have someone from the School of Government that'll participate in that. I have a very experienced IT director, and Tommy's working on a second one for that. We want to have on this panel, Tommy and I will do the management and financial questions, but I need somebody with the technical expertise, because these people speak a different language, and we need somebody who's done IT, because the truth is they'd leave me in about 3 minutes and I wouldn't know what they said. I just need somebody at the table when I can get through and say, okay, do they know what they're doing? Because it's that far over our head. But anyway, we're working on that. We're going to try to expedite this. In the meantime, we've discussed it. We have a number of major projects. I don't want to pull any of our key people off to be the interim director, because they need to be on those projects. So looking at all of that, I've made the determination, I'm going to appoint myself as the interim director, and we're going to meet with them once to twice a week, primarily just to keep these projects moving forward, because that's the key. And as far as the day-to-day complaints, they handle that with a complaint desk just fine, and we'll continue with that. So that's where we're at on IT. That also gives me an incentive to fill this job just as fast as I can. Okay. The next thing I wanted to hand out, well, I'll talk about something else, but let me hand this out to you. The next thing is, obviously, we've started on the budget. Our people are working up the spreadsheets on the vehicle maintenance. They're also submitting first on their capital improvements programs, and then their operating budgets will be due. So we're well underway on that process now. And as y'all have heard, I'll be spending some time primarily negotiating contracts still. We have the CMAR contract to negotiate, and I'll put a high priority on that. And the other thing I've got to finish is the negotiation on the contract with Stewart Cooper Newell on the 911 center and study. So I'm going to try my best to knock those out. I do want to say that Tommy and I both will be out. We're going to lose Wednesday through Friday of this week. This is the winter meeting for the North Carolina City County Management Association, and we'll be in Durham those days, but we'll both have our phones, so if you need anything, don't hesitate to call. We have our district meeting we've looked at. Marcia and I have looked at the schedule. The closest one for us is in Wallace, North Carolina. It'll be at the Mad Boar Restaurant. I think that's right after you turn off the interchange there. But if y'all would make a note on your calendars, that's April 20th at 5:30 p.m. So we can just take the van and run down to Wallace and do that. But that's
Put that on the calendar.
Yes, Marcia, will you get that on the calendar? Okay. So, but I wanted to give you advance notice of that so everybody can try to attend that, because that's really in our back door at Wallace. We don't have to travel a long distance for that.
What time was that again?
5:30, so John, I'm thinking we probably need to leave at 4:30. Is that about right for Wallace?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. The last thing, I just wanted to give you this letter from Duke Energy. This Harry K. Sedaris has sent us the Corrective Action Plan Part 2. This is on the H.F. Lee Energy Complex that Duke Energy owns. And basically, he's providing us a courtesy copy of the Correction Action Plan Part 2, recently filed with the North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality. That's the old Diener. And please find enclosed an electronic version of this document. I have the thumb drive that's on, and I just wanted to make you aware of it because we've had questions about the coal ash. So if any of you would like to borrow that thumb drive and look at it at your leisure, or if you want us to make a copy of it or whatever, we'll be more than happy to do that. Okay. And with that, that's all I've got, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Mayo.
I don't have, for lack of time, just a real quick 6 words. We had a really good legislative breakfast yesterday morning with our legislative delegation, and I think the comment was made for about 2 hours we met, and I don't think we disagreed on anything the whole time. So it was very, very productive. We talked about the key issues. So it was just a great meeting. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Camardi.
Just to say, I attended my first social service meeting and my first gateway meeting.
Mr. Gurley.
No comment, I'm just looking forward to what the groundhog said this morning.
Very, very quickly, so we did meet with the Wayne County Tourism Board, and so we got Gretchen, on as the chairman. We're working on bylaws now, and I think county manager has some that we're gonna be able to work with.
And I will have those at that next meeting.
At the next meeting. No financial report yet because we haven't collected any money. And the other two things, happy birthday to our assistant manager, Tommy, and happy birthday to George tomorrow.
And Borden.
And Borden on Friday? My
Buy y'all
goodness, bam,
lunch
bam,
today. How
bam.
about that?
Hey, Commissioner Aycock.
Just quickly, I just want to thank all 7 of the board members. Listening to the auditor's report today, we all know we've been busy, but now I think that the citizens of Wayne County can look at what was said this morning, and I'm very proud of what this board has done in the last 3 years. Thank you.
Mr. Bell.
It may take me longer than 2 minutes.
Go right ahead.
No, I just have one report, and I cannot give you the name of the new CEO of East Point, but we do have a new CEO. The reason why I can't give you the name because they have not been publicly announced yet. And, but that person is taking over from Ken Jones. He's retiring, as you know. And, she's looking forward to working with us. Matter of fact, I'm setting up a meeting with her soon so we can, talk about whether or not they're gonna leave a presence in, Wayne County or not.
Great.
So that's my report.
And again, happy birthday to all concerned. I'm sorry we ran a little late, but we had a lot to accomplish today, and I appreciate this board's patience in moving it along. With that in mind, is there a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Motion, all those in favor signify by raising your right hand. We are adjourned.
This has been a presentation by Wayne Goldsboro Television of the meeting of the Wayne County Board of Commissioners. Wayne County Commissioners meet the first and third Tuesday of each month in the Commissioners' Meeting Room on the 4th floor of the Wayne County Courthouse at 224 East Walnut Street in Goldsboro, North Carolina. For more information, the County of Wayne is online at www.waynegov.com. The mailing address is Post Office Box 227, Goldsboro, North Carolina 27533. Thank you for watching.